Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. If you haven't yet, so please subscribe and click the like button and comment down below if you guys would like me to continue posting political videos. So today's video is going to be about why the Republican Party hasn't managed to win the popular vote in elections in general in the past couple of decades. So let's go over important states with the most electoral vote and popular vote rate. So California, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, Florida, and New Jersey. So these states in total have 270 electoral votes, similar to the 11-state strategy. Actually, I believe this is the 11-state strategy, or if I missed a few states. So, now there's 270 really important states that have, starting from New Jersey with 14 electoral votes and California with 54. So these are all important states. And Democrats in 2016 picked up, out of all of these electoral votes, 115, while Republicans picked up 155. Now this year changed a little bit. Democrats picked up Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, which put Democrats at 165 and Republicans at 105. So, we're going to be really going over how these states have become more Democratic strongholds. So at one point, California was a likely margin state. So was Illinois. Michigan was a safe margin state, or sitting between likely and safe. Ohio was a tilt margin, lean margin state. Florida was, Florida has pretty much stayed the same. Georgia, likely margin. North Carolina, likely margin. And Texas, safe. New Jersey, at one point it was, a lean margin state. New York, at one point, a lean margin state. Pennsylvania, at one point, a lean margin state. So that puts Democrats 155 and Republicans with 121 out of the important states. Hold on. Utah, 121 and 149. So I'm basically going to be showing how shifts, states have been shifting. So we can take a look at this. Let's start off with California, a state with 54 electoral votes, one of the most important states in the election for the Democratic Party. They have to pick up this state. And let's take a look on how California has shifted so much to the left. So anything classified as tilt, if you look back here, John Kerry carried California. Al Gore carried California by about 12%. 11.8%. Now, I really like to focus on this state because 11.8% was 20 years ago, 21. But if you look now, it was way more than that. It was almost a 30% margin, 29.2. So in the decades, at one point it was a likely margin state. If you go back in 1996, 1992, 1988, it was a Republican state by, a pretty decent amount, 3.6%. So as, it flipped to the Democratic Party and it shifted to the left so much. And when Obama came around, he flipped it. So here it went to Kerry by 9.9%, 10%. Well, the next year, Obama solidified that margin. Obviously, Obama was very popular, but we see Obama carrying it by 24%. So that was a 14% shift to the Democratic Party. And that, really made it seem that, California became more solidifying. And today it sits at 29 points. So at one point, yes, California was a likely margin state, leans margin state. At one point, it was a Republican leans margin state, but now it's a solid Democratic state. A state that Republicans are 100% sure. 100% sure Republicans will most likely in a few decades coming. California will not go to the Republican Party. Texas, at one point, it was a 22% margin. Unlike California, the margin wasn't growing and increasing, but it shrunk. So let's just take a look at Texas' margin. So if we look at the margins in Texas, they were really a lot smaller. A lot bigger. Now they're really a lot smaller. So if you look back, it was a really beginning thing, 2000. Look at Texas. Okay, maybe Bush was from Texas, but he carried Texas by 21.3%. That is a pretty big margin. Now, in a way to be pretty chill about it, you look before it was Dole. Dole only carried it by about 5% the election before. But 21% is not a usual margin. And it's not, okay, maybe Bush, yes, it's from the state. But even if you look at McCain, he won it by about 12%. So in general, 11.8%. In general, it's not a 22% margin state now. That Texas is not a 22% margin state. Now, if somebody from California runs for president, the margins are going to increase. How Kamala Harris, senator from California, increase those margins. So, Bush had double the margin of McCain, 11.8%, almost 12%, compared to almost 22%. So that's almost double the margin. But now you see, McCain, 11.8%, that's pretty significant. But you can see that it solidified a bit more because, Romney was a lot more, more popular than McCain. So he carried it by 16%, 15.8. So that, that solidified 3%. But then you decrease again. When Trump came around, only 7%, 9% in 2016. That is really close. 9%, exactly 9%. 2020 rolls around, still a likely margin, because likely margin is more than 5%. But we go back and we look. Texas, 5.6%. 5.6%. So this state has dramatically shifted to the left for a long time now. So we look at this, we could say Texas becomes a tilt Democratic state. Florida, margins have always been the same in Florida. So I'm really not going to be going over Florida. Georgia, a very important key state. And I'm sure you guys were very, it was really confusing. So basically nobody thought Joe Biden would win Georgia, one of the most conservative states in the U.S. Just went to the Democratic candidate. A long time since Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was a big shift to the left. Arizona went blue. Georgia went blue. So that was a really, big surprise. You look at Georgia's timeline. Besides 2020, red, 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 red. And then it had one blue time when Bill Clinton won it by a percentage point, less than a percentage point, 0.59. But in this timeline, only, besides Bill Clinton, who only won it by a small margin, only won Georgia twice, in 1976, 1980, and won it by 0.5% in 1992. Still a victory, but a small one. And then again, the fourth time since 1976, a 0.23% margin. Zero point 0.23, 0.22 in Michigan. Now, sort of the same thing. Michigan was, Obama's time, Michigan was a solidified state, safe state for Obama. Safe state. Look at this, 16.5%. Well, what happened in 2016? Okay, obviously in 2012 that shrunk. What happened in 2016? 0.22% for Donald Trump. But we're focusing back on Georgia. Georgia has dramatically shifted. So here it was, go back, at this point Georgia was 5.2. Romney's time, Georgia was sitting at 7.8. Okay, maybe a little more. In 2016, Georgia went down to 5.1, and then a flip, 5.3% flip. So we could be considering, go back on the map, we could consider Georgia, blue. Okay, North Carolina. A state that was likely. Not really likely anymore. Donald Trump carried it by 1.7%. That's Aileen's margin. But in 2024, it will be probably a Democratic leans margin state, or possibly a Republican tilt margin state, or tilt margin either way. Possibly even leans for the Democratic Party. Probably not leans for the Republican Party. Because North Carolina is not really that kind of state anymore. It shifted dramatically to the Democratic Party. So, actually, let's check out North Carolina. Because it was very surprising how much North Carolina has shifted to the left. So 2008 was an exception. It did go to the Democratic Party just because Obama was so popular. But really no big Democratic win besides Obama 2012 since 1976. No big win in North Carolina. No solidified win until before the 70s. So, since 1976 there was a likely margin win. A victory by exactly 11%. So that's pretty decent. But, as we look, North Carolina has always been a red state. You look here, North Carolina, red. Flip in 2012. A flip, but the flip was small. It was only a flip by 0.33%. Georgia was... In 2008, Georgia was a 5% margin. Well, today, Georgia is a 0.3% margin, so shifted 5 points to the left. North Carolina shifted 2 points to the right. But that doesn't mean that North Carolina is shifting to the right. Because it really isn't. North Carolina really isn't shifting to the right. It's been shifting to the left for a pretty long time now. And you see, the margins have been shrinking. Solid. It's gotten smaller. And so, the margin is really small. So then we could be calling... Georgia and North Carolina tilt Democratic states. The next state I want to move off to. New Jersey. If you do look at New Jersey, a pretty long time ago, New Jersey... Well, modern time, before. I'm talking modern time, I'm talking usually about past the 1990s, usually 2000. New Jersey was here in 2000. Let's go back to 2000. It was a pretty solidified win. I mean, it was decently close. 15.8. Okay, well, that was, all right. Safe state by a small amount. 2004, New Jersey, not as safe, shrunk down a little bit. 6.7. That's not a little bit, that's a lot. But then you see, in 2008, Obama came around, just like California. When Obama came around, you look at this and it went 15.6. Again here, more than 15. More than... here in 2000, is this 2016? No, sorry, not Delaware. I believe this is 2016. Is it? Yes, Hillary Clinton won it by 14.1%. that solidified a bit more. Then it came back to its old ways. And this year, Joe Biden, not Delaware, won New Jersey by 15.9%. So it solidified a lot. And, we were always calling, New Jersey in this, race. New Jersey was a leans margin Democratic state. Well, it's a safe margin Democratic state. Now, Ohio. Sorry. So Ohio was, at one point, yes, Ohio was a, Ohio at one point, it was a 3-point margin victory for George Bush. It's grown a lot. Now it's sitting at, almost 8%. Over 8%. And just like Iowa, basically the same thing as Iowa. It's gotten, a lot, better for the Republican Party in Ohio and Iowa in general. Okay. So, so let's look at Ohio now, because Ohio is a state that's very close, a state that always has been close, but a state that has been shifting to the right. One of the only states here that has been shifting to the right, 8.0% this year. The same thing in 2016. 8.3%, I think. 8.1%, yeah. Okay, 2012. For Obama, obviously, Bill Obama was, a very popular candidate, 3%. Now, in 2008, obviously, 2008, everything was more of a, everything shifted to like 4.6%. And you see, back before, these times, before Obama, when it wasn't a Democratic, it didn't go to the Democrats, it was a Republican state by 3.5% for Bush, those times. It was always Ohio was always a swing state. Republicans were not like, Republicans didn't win Ohio, but we consider, more, it's still a swing state, but it leans much more, to the Republican Party. Here you have Democratic flips, Republican flips, but it's been more, 2016, 2020, those have been, dramatic shifts. We've seen it. 2012, 2008 was a, blue year in Ohio. It was a blue year all around the country. So definitely, Ohio shifted 8 points to the left. So, we're now calling Ohio. I mean, as the trend is, we could be calling it, you could be calling Ohio a, safe margin state. I still don't, because we don't know if it's going to solidify that much. But yeah, it's gone, a lot. Michigan, it's very similar to Ohio, has shifted to the right in a very long time. We were looking at Michigan. We see Obama, was winning Michigan by 16%. Even before Obama, it was still pretty solidified. It was still, here in Michigan was 3.4% for Kerry. Okay, that's not a solid state, but it's sort of, it was sort of how Florida is today. So a left shifting, swing state. Florida, a right shifting swing state. So yeah, you see, Obama's time, yes, like we said, it went by 16%, likely margin. In 2008, it was a safe margin. So that literally means Michigan was much more solidified than states that are not swing states. Michigan was a safe margin. Montana was leans. Missouri was tilt. Missouri is a state that goes 17%. Missouri back then was a 0.2% margin for McCain, for John McCain, who was the Republican candidate in 2008. Now it's like 16, 17% for Donald Trump. At the time, Michigan was 17%. But now, Michigan came 0.2% for Donald Trump in 2016. And still, just Joe Biden carried it by almost 3%, 2.8%. 2.8% is nothing compared to that 16% of Obama. So we're seeing Michigan coming back to its Republican ways. Yes, Joe Biden carried it. But it's much smaller than a typical margin in Michigan. Michigan was always, that really solid state, but it's not really a solid state anymore. I could consider it a tilt margin for the Republican Party because that's just how Michigan is shifting. Illinois. Now, this one is a bit tricky because you don't really see the margin, how it changed. Because you look at a senator, Barack Obama, a senator of Illinois. Now, it was really a likely margin, leans margin state. Sometimes it was pretty conservative before 1985, 1990. It was a conservative state. It voted conservative. Illinois voted conservative between 1976 and 1992. 1992, it voted blue. Basically 1992, everything voted blue. But then when Obama came around, he solidified it. In a long time, Illinois became a likely margin, a safe margin state, or Obama's time. Now, the really confusing part is in 2008, Barack Obama, a senator from Illinois, carried it. Hold up. By. Sorry, give me 1 second. He carried it by 16%, actually. And I know this because if you look at Illinois, if you go back 2008, hold up. So Illinois, 25.1%. Okay, that's 25. That's a lot. But I have a slight question. Why did Joe Biden carry Illinois? Well, he carried it by 21% in 2000, by 20% in 2012. But how come Joe Biden only carried Illinois by 17%, and Barack Obama carried it by about 19% in 2012. Well, 17% and 19%, that's a 2% margin to the right. But that doesn't mean Illinois is actually shifting to the right. Why is it not shifting to the right? Well, because Illinois really isn't a state that's shifting to the right. Illinois was 19%, now it's 17%. That's a 2% margin. But you have to realize Obama was a senator from Illinois. So, of course, Obama should have done better than a 2% margin, but he didn't. He should be 5% margin because Joe Biden overperformed Obama. He might have Obama did 2 points better than Biden. But Obama was a senator, so from that state, he should be doing 5 to 10 points ahead of Joe Biden. Winning it, so Joe Biden should not be solidifying by 17, could be 12 or 13. But that's because Illinois has shifted to the left. So now we do not call it a leans margin state, a state that can go to the Republican Party. We call Illinois today a safe state for the Democratic Party. We don't see, just like California, I don't see the Republican Party carrying Illinois. Now on. New York, a state that was close, similar to Michigan, not similar to Michigan, the opposites. California, really similar to California, the situation. We look back. Like, you have to look really far back to really see New York and what I mean about New York. So, you have to look back like 1970s back, You got to start in 1980. Red state. 1984. I don't really care looking for the margins because it's shifted. 1988. Blue. Leans. Now becomes safe. Safe safe, 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 and safe. But let's look at the margins now from 2000. First, New York was sitting at a much smaller margin of 24.5 for Gore. What is New York in 2020? Well, it wasn't a 24.5% margin, but it was I'm not able to find this. Okay, check it out. So 40, okay, so now it's about, 25%. So it's, we realize that Gore, it's slowly shifting to the left. It's just like California. At one point, it was a leans margin. So it hasn't really changed since 2000, but it did change a lot between, 1980s and 2000. After 2000, it's always been a solid state. And our last state to wrap up this video is Pennsylvania, a key battleground state that is losing electoral vote weight and is becoming less and less important in the elections following. So in Pennsylvania, like we showed with Michigan, I'm able to find the map here. Okay, so so in Pennsylvania, Joe Biden carried it by 1.2% or a leans margin. But if you look back, starting, 2000, Pennsylvania was a, relatively red state. Just like New York, from 1976, it was a red state till about 1992. It flipped blue, and it continued to flip blue, since that. But if you look at this, straight up, Pennsylvania likely margin, it was going to the Democratic Party at this time. Yes, it was a likely margin. 9.2%, 10%, 11%. These are pretty solidified margins in a swing state. But at that time, Pennsylvania was sort of the Ohio for how the Republican Party has Ohio today. So if you look, Pennsylvania, a leans margin in 2004. And then it grew bigger when Obama came. So Obama came, he won it in 2008. The most blue year since the 1990s. In a very long time, 10%. Michigan was still 16, but 10% is still pretty big. Then you look, again, in 2012, it wasn't 10%, it was about 5.4%. Right after that, it went to Donald Trump by 0.72%. So that did shift to the Republican Party, by a small amount, a pretty big amount. It went by about 6%. So that was a pretty solidified victory, and slowly becoming a more solidified victory for the Republican Party. And Pennsylvania was a state that did, shift to the right significantly. So if we look at this, we could still call Pennsylvania a swing state. So I'm not going to give it, to the Republican or Democratic Party, but it's still that state that, it's either a tilt margin, a leans margin, it's going to stay there. And for the Republican Party, obviously carrying it. But its shift is a leans Republican state. Now, the Democrats still have the lead because they picked up a lot of seats since the beginning. They picked up Texas. The Republicans still hold on to Florida. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. And sorry I haven't been posting a lot lately. Just been very busy in the past few days. So I will be posting a few more videos, probably a video or two daily. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe, like this video, and comment down below what kind of content you would like me to be posting. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.